Okay, so we're here once again in Sword Factory X, and today we're going to be ranking from worst to best all of the enchants that are currently in the game. Now, obviously, right now there are 7 enchants in the game. However, we're not going to be including sus in this list because I don't believe there's any people that actually have this one yet. And also, I do believe someone also told me that it was useless, so I'm not really too sure what sus is yet, so we'll be leaving that one off the list. However, we'll be going for the main 6, which are sharpness, resistance, power, speed, swiftness, and greed. So these were more or less ranked by you guys. Now, the one problem that I did actually have was that when it comes to YouTube polls, you can only have 5 different options, so I couldn't include greed, but I kind of know where that's going to rank anyways. So yeah, basically this list is more or less made by you guys, by obviously the YouTube poll system on my community tab. So thank you to everyone who did actually vote on that. But let's just go straight into it with the current worst enchant in the game, and that is swiftness. So as you can see on the screen right now, there was only 1% of people who actually voted for swiftness, and that might even just be literally 1 person or 2 people who actually voted for that. And basically the reason why swiftness is just so useless is because it's just jump power, as you can see, and nobody really cares too much about jump power. As you can see right now, just the normal, this is just normal walking around like this, and as you can see, jump power, it doesn't really do much. And when it comes to actually jumping over things, do you really need to jump over things in this game? I'm really not too sure. So yeah, I can agree with people on that one, that jump power is, or well, swiftness is definitely the worst enchant in the game. So yeah, I would definitely rank that as the least one. Now we're moving on to the second worst one that you guys ranked, and that is actually resistance. So resistance does increase health, which obviously, from kind of like an outsider's point of view, you might think that's really good. However, when it actually comes to this game, yeah, realistically, health isn't actually that important once you get to a certain level, and your sword's at a certain level anyways. So as you can see with this sword right here, it's just a super sword, and I'm already getting like 191 million health, which honestly is more than enough already. Considering the fact that I'm already at 9 million health with just my level anyways, that's still quite a lot. Now obviously it does depend on what kind of bosses you're at, but yeah, when it comes to really overpowered swords, it genuinely doesn't matter too much. As you can see, this sword here, it doesn't have resistance on it, and it's giving me 378 billion health, which is way more than enough that I need to kill any boss in the game realistically. So yeah, I do agree with that one as well, resistance being the 6th, well the 5th most, I guess, useless, the 5th most best, I don't know how they say it, but this is definitely, it's ranked number 5 on the list. Now we're moving on to number 4, and this was actually quite a close one between these two, but I'm going to rank speed, just the same as you guys. I'm going to rank speed as the 4th most, the 4th best enchant in the game, basically. So what speed does is obviously it just increases your walk speed. Now as you can see, without any like special things going on, you're not exactly that fast. Obviously you can get around fair enough. However, obviously when you do have speed, you can get around a lot quicker, and it is quite important to have a lot of speed depending on if you're a public server or not. Maybe you get something like a good boss spawn and you want to be the first there, you'll just quickly like spawn in, and using a speed sword you can get there quick enough. However, when it comes to actually having it on your sword, again, I wouldn't say that it's actually that important. Realistically, when it comes to all of the enchants, I would say if you want a damage sword, I probably would get speed on it just to kind of fill in that extra slot. However, yeah, again, speed isn't too much of that importance. As you can see, I genuinely just have this random level 1 sword that someone ended up dumping in my bank, which did have only speed on it. So I just genuinely use this as just a random speed sword just to kind of get around. Now, I wouldn't say it's exactly that useless. Realistically, getting into these top 4, I would say that speed is actually quite a good one, just depending if you want to get around quicker or not. It just saves a little bit of time. But yeah, speed is ranked number 4 on this list. And now we're moving on to number 3. And as you can see, number 3, ranked by you guys, was power. Now this got 8% of the votes. Now power does a small damage and small health increase. As you can see, slightly increases damage and health. And this is something that you're definitely going to want on all of your damage swords, because it's just going to increase your damage some more anyway. And as you can see on my current damage sword, I do have power on it. I also do have sharpness on it, as you can see, but no resistance. So, and it's still giving me nearly 400 billion health. So honestly, yeah, power is quite an important one. I would say it definitely gives quite a big advantage when it comes to damage and health. So that way, if you do have power on your sword, you just don't need resistance on your sword. It basically means resistance is now useless. So yeah, I would definitely say power is definitely quite an important one to have on your sword, especially if it is a damage sword. And then we're moving into the top two. So this one I didn't actually have involved on the poll, just because there wasn't enough spaces. However, I feel like I was always going to rank this one at number 2, and that is the Greed enchant. So basically what Greed does is it actually increases the worth of the sword. So say you actually end up getting like a unique sword or a buff or something, you're always going to have Greed on it. As you can see, this godly sword right now does have Greed on it. And basically that means that your sword is going to be worth way more than it should be, because that way then obviously you're getting the enchant on it, and then that way you're also getting more value on it. And obviously, I'm not really too sure how much it actually adds to your sword, but I would say without this Greed enchant here, it was just another enchant, this would probably have like 600 billion instead of 700 billion value, and that way it's just a lot more value, and that way you can obviously get more value, you can get more net worth, get better upgrades and stuff, and then so on and so forth. And as you can see, we only upgraded that twice, then it gave us another like 20 billion, so that's pretty good. So yeah, I would definitely say the Greed enchant is definitely at number 2, just because of the fact that it's going to get you a way more money on your swords, which is definitely a good thing, because then you're going to be able to just get more upgrades, which means then you can get a better ascender and stuff like that, which then just kind of like gives a big loop. So yeah, I would definitely say Greed is definitely number 2 on the ranking, just because everybody wants more value on the swords, and it just makes your sword look way better anyways. Then we're moving on to the number 1 spot, and this was just blown out the water. Absolutely no chance this was going to lose. With 82% of the votes, we have Sharpness. Now, what this does basically is it increases the damage of the sword. Quite simple, but this is something you're going to always want on your damage sword. Say you're going through, you're kind of waiting around for a level sword to come through, you get something that's like level 400, you're getting very excited, then it does come through the enchant bit, and you don't get Sharpness on it. It's a complete waste. There's no point whatsoever on getting that sword, because just how important Sharpness actually is on a sword. Now, as you can see on this sword here, it also has Sharpness on it, but basically the reason why you want Sharpness is just because it gives so much more damage to your sword compared to anything else in the game. And it's just an insane way to get damage on your sword. Now, obviously, with Sharpness and Power together, you're basically going to get the most OP damage sword you can get. Obviously, my damage sword right now does have both Power and Sharpness on it, so it has that double boost from the enchants, which is super good, which gives me a ton of damage. As you can see, it gives me 177 billion. So yeah, I think everyone is in agreement that Sharpness is the most important enchant in the game, and I would definitely agree. I think everyone agrees with that. So quickly going down the list once again, from the 6th spot we have Swiftness, and then we go to number 5, which is actually Resistance. Number 4 we have Speed, number 3 Power, number 2 Greed, and then Sharpness, topping off with the number 1 spot, which I think everybody can agree with, just because it's going to give you so much more damage, which everybody wants. So yeah, that's basically my rankings. If you guys do disagree, or maybe you'd put Greed somewhere else on the list, maybe number 3, let me know down below. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you all in the next video.